If you want to be successful, mindset is everything.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you're fucked.
This is the root of everything. When you get this root right, you create exponential growth. I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. In this way, you can do anything that you want. This way, you can control your mind. When you get control of your mind, you become dangerous. And you're almost unstoppable. What is up, guys? It's Ivaldi Sako. Welcome to the show. Here we talk mostly about business, mindset, self-improvement, things that will get your life better. So if you want your life to get better, you want to become truly free and successful or get to the next level, I suggest you subscribe on this podcast because you're at the right place to do so. If you don't know me, I used to be the personal trainer of a guy that had a business making $300K a month, and we ended up going in business together, ended up going in business myself. After that, it's been 3 years, and I document in those videos what I learned to help you also become truly free and successful. So if you want that, I suggest you subscribe because you're at the right place to do so. So, this video, it will be one of the best things that you could do right now on the internet. Like, watching this video, it's a foundational mindset training, and mindset is the root of everything. Please regard this as a training. A module in a $997 course, right? Not the scammy one, the real one, the one that actually helps you out. I've been in the self-development space for about more than 5 years. I know a lot about this stuff. I've experienced it a lot. And this week I learned a new thing, a new tool that helped me a lot. And I really want to give this to you so that you can use it as well to make your life better and use it at your advantage, because this tool is working whether you want it or not. It's just whether you can use it for you, like make your life better, or it's going to work against you. And maybe this is why self-sabotage happens. And you don't want that. Maybe this is what is keeping you from growing, from actually getting to success, from actually getting some results, or getting to the next level. So please, I really want you to feel how this is very, very useful, as I found it very, very useful. So at first, we're going to be talking about the power of one thought, how one thought can absolutely change your life for the best or for the worst. How to master feedback loops to make it as probable as possible for you that you become successful or get to the next level. How to not enter or remain in a vicious cycle using feedback loops at your advantage instead of at your disadvantage. Because right now you might not even think that you have a feedback loop in your mind, but it's actually taking place. And I'm going to deconstruct it so that you can actually see how to use it. We're going to be also talking about how controlling your environment and using these feedback loops at your advantage, and what we're going to be talking right now, will make you and create an enemy in your life. And this enemy is inevitable to have at one point. You need to face it. And I'm going to tell you, therefore, how to be ready and not let the attack of this enemy scare you or make you quit. I hope I've enticed you enough right now, but yeah, let's get into it. I'm really excited for this. If it doesn't help you out, don't share the show. But if it did help you out, please, if it made you think, if it gave you some new perspective, something that you didn't think about, if the tool helps you, please share the show. I don't do this to make money. I do this just to document my journey and help as many people as long as I go through this journey. If you don't know, I'm French, and I don't, have the ability to communicate in English as well as someone that is natively speaking English. And so please don't pay attention to the words, maybe misplaced here and there, right? Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so one thought. Everything starts with one thought, and this thought can break you or make you. I have no idea where to start. It's like that simple. It's one thought. If you think, I'm going to tell you exactly right now, like the cycle. You always hear this thing, or maybe we used to hear that. You are what you think about, right? Like, this is very true. This is true indirectly, like not in the immediate, but actually even in immediate. Like it's very, very true, this statement. But I'm telling you why and how this forms what you are. One thought creates a belief, and your belief will dictate the actions that you take. The actions that you take will create a feedback. And this feedback is going to reinforce the thought. And there you go. You have it. You have the feedback loop. I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. This feedback loop has blown my mind, to be honest with you, because I've started to understand this is what's happening when I get anxious. This is what's happening when I'm starting to feel more confident. This is the root of everything. And when you get this root right, it's like you create exponential growth. And by the way, this doesn't happen only in the mind. This happens, and you can notice it in real life, like outside, in your environment. You can see it happens with animals. It happens with human beings, like how they interact with each other. This actually takes place in a lot of things, in nature, in everything in this world. It always works this way, like almost all the time. Something creates something, and this something reinforces the first thing, right? One thought creates ultimately an action. This action creates more of the first thought. So I told you it starts all with a thought. This thought creates a belief, but how does that happen? This happens with, well, first of all, with repetition. It's the more you repeat something, the stronger the thought becomes. And so the stronger the thought becomes, the more credible, the more credibility it has to build this belief. When you have this belief, it's not whether or not you have this belief, it's to what extent, to what strength of belief do you have? Like how much do you believe what you believe, right? This is the question. It's not a fixed question. It's not a yes or no question. It's how much. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you believe? And so the stronger the thought that you will have, and how do you strengthen the thought? The thought is strengthened by either repetition, as I told you, or proofs. Like you have to have proofs. And the way you have proofs in your mind is by having sensory information on this thought. That means that if this thought brings an image in your mind, it's stronger. If it brings a smell, it's stronger. If it brings an auditory, like in an audio with it, a music, an ambience, like it's something like the more sensory information, a touch, the more sensory information you have with this one thought, the stronger it becomes. So that's the one thought. The more sensory information you have with this thought, the stronger the belief will be. The more repetition of this maybe already strong sensory information thought, the stronger the belief. Okay, so you have a great belief now because the thought is very, very powerful and you repeat it a lot in your mind. Right now you have great belief. Why would you have a great belief? A belief that's, very, very high. Because the action, therefore, after this will be that much stronger, that much better. You will take that much, many more actions or better quality of actions because you have this much belief. You are going to, the more you believe something, the more you're going to act on it. The more you're going to act on something, well, just after that, we acted on something. We get a feedback. This feedback is going to be, well, either positive or negative. But in the feedback loop, it always reinforces the thought. If it doesn't, it's not a feedback loop. It's not a loop. It's just a feedback. But you want to use the feedback loop always happens, right? It's just whether it happens in this case or not. Like whether you can control it basically. I'm explaining it better. But anyway, you get feedback, and this feedback is going to reinforce the thought. And so you're going to repeat the thought even more. So you're going to get the thought, you're going to get through the process, believe, action, feedback, thought. So boom, 2 repetition of the thought. And this actually can happen in a split second. It doesn't have to be like a long process, a long journey toward like accomplishing this feedback loop. It can, but it also happens like this, like boom. You just right now it happens. Oh, again, it happened because I had a thought. It reinforces something. I imagined. I'm gonna take it a little slower. This thought. Let's say I'm gonna take it with the example of my social anxiety. I kind of have, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And it depends on how good I am at using this feedback loop. And I didn't know this up until this week. I have a thought. Oh, let's say I'm not good with meeting new people. I'm not good with, and you can do this exercise right now with me. Think of something that happens in your mind. Some thought, often negative thought, that you might think, and that's creating a false belief or a negative belief, at least, a belief that doesn't serve you, that doesn't allow you to take the good actions that will get you the results that you want. Think of something that you're not really good at, something that you tell yourself. Oftentimes it's negative. I'm not good with meeting people. What does this do? When I think this brings me back to an image or an experience that I had where I found this to be true. I was awkward. I was awkward in a certain situation. And it doesn't have to be the majority of times. It just matters that you think about this moment. You could have been like 99% of the time very social, very comfortable, everything going well. And then at one point, you had one little bad moment. And this can turn into a kind of PTSD, like post-traumatic syndrome, something like this, right? Because this one thing, you repeat it so many times. And so I'm saying, okay, I'm not good with meeting new people. And I think of this, okay, this particular moment where I felt this emotion. And so there's an emotion with it. Emotion also, I forgot this, with a thought, reinforces the thought, right? So there's a repetition, there's a quality with the sensory information and the emotion that goes with it, with the thought, that reinforces the belief. So right now, I'm thinking, because I have this proof that this thought is right, I'm thinking, I'm believing this thought, right? Because I have proof, I'm believing. So I have this belief. I believe that I'm not good with meeting people. What does this belief do? It makes me not want to take action. Imagine at one point I was in a situation I had to be in this position. And I had this thought. And I believe I'm not good with meeting new people. And at one point I have to. It's necessary right now that I meet someone new, right? And I make conversation and everything. What do you think happens? I take action because I must. I'm just obligated, right? And then I have a feedback. Because I believe that I'm not good with meeting people, this action is going to be like atrocious. Like it's going to be bad. I'm going to be very uncomfortable. I'm going to be like awkward and just not knowing what to say and stressed out maybe. I was like, oh, okay. You see what I mean? And this feedback is going to create a negative reinforcement. A negative reinforcement to this action and a positive reinforcement to this first thought. So it's going to reinforce the first thought that I had. I'm not good with meeting new people. And now you can see the complete cycle of the feedback loop. And guess what? This could happen like this without you needing to take action on anything. It can happen like this just because you repeat the memory. Because you know what? The brain doesn't make the difference between reality outside and the actual situation that took place with other people than anything that is in your mind. If you imagine something, when you dream, your physical body is actually feeling the things as if it was real. If you feel a pain in your dream, in your nightmare, you actually feel the physical pain, and you just sweat and everything, right? Your body reacts the same exact way because your brain doesn't know the difference. And maybe there is no difference, actually. When you do have this thought, boom, you go through the cycle immediately because you imagine the scene. So it's just like you already have taken action, and it goes immediately into feedback because you feel the after effect of having taken the action, and boom, it reinforces immediately the thought. And it's like you have so much a stronger thought like this. Like in a split second, you have this thought, and this is exactly what anxiety is. And what at one point, it can create a panic attack. Like this is what happens. Like you're so overwhelmed because you have this thought, and it creates this bad feedback loop. And it's so detrimental for your mental health, for your body, actually. It's just for your mind and in general. Because your beliefs are going to dictate you what actions you take. And so you're going to prevent yourself from doing any kind of action that has anything to do with this thought, with this situation, right? And it can happen like this because you don't control it. A second, I have something on my phone. What's happening? Okay. There you go. So, why is this so important? I guess you have guessed right now. It's very important because you just have this increase of thought, of the strength of the thought that would increase the strength of the belief. And if you believe so strongly that you're very bad at meeting new people, for example, at doing the thing that you want to do, at public speaking, at math, at anything, you will act in accordance with this belief. And if you do, well, you are preventing yourself from doing the actions that are required for your success. Or you're doing something that is actually deepening this problem or the situation in which you are. It's so negative. And when you do this, it happens 10, 20 times a day. Every single day, it happens like this. Every single day, you have this thought, and you repeat it. Guess what? You're going to be stuck. And it's going to be so much harder. The more this happens, the more difficult it is for you to believe something else, to change this belief. Because then at one point, this is why older people have a little bit harder time of changing their beliefs about something. They believe something, no, I can't, they're just like opinionated, right? Because the strength of the beliefs is so high. And at one point, they linked their identity with the belief. And so if you take away this belief, you take away themselves. You take away their identity. And so it hurts. And the identity wants to save itself. It doesn't want to die. It feels in danger. And your identity is not necessarily you. It's what you associate with. But it's not necessarily you. And I'm going to talk about this later. Well, it looks like this is going to take a little bit more time than I expected. I don't have much time. Anyway, so let me drink a little bit of water before I continue. Okay, now you have the feedback loop. I hope you realize how valuable this is. I hope you realize where I'm going toward. You can use this at your advantage. You can use this to make you believe stuff that is actually useful. You can use this to make you take action that is going to be very useful. How do you do that? You take a thought, a positive one, and you run it through everything that we talked about. So, what does this mean? This means that, for example, right now, you have this thought I'm not good with meeting people. You replace it. I'm very good with meeting people. But the thing is, you need to believe it, right? At first, it's just going to be a thought. And the thought and what you speak is kind of the same way, right? If you think something is like you talk it. It's the exact same thing. If you talk something, you need to think it. Now, sometimes you're not necessarily aware of it because maybe sometimes you get used to say something and you don't necessarily have the thought of the thing that you're talking about, right? It's like you're not necessarily very aware of this thought. But anyway, this is like a side tangent. You run the feedback loop with one thought. One thought is, I'm very good with meeting people, because you want to be good with meeting people. You want to believe that. How do you believe that? First of all, you need some proof, right? At one point, if you have nothing, if you can't imagine the situation, this is what you got to do. You got to have this thought and imagine the situation. As we talked about, to strengthen the thought, we need as many sensory information as possible. We need repetition. And the mind doesn't make the difference, right? If you can increase it with quality, right, of thought, you can increase it with quantity. Increase it with quantity by repeating this thought as much as you can, 20 times a day. This is what affirmations are. Affirmations are just repeating a thought that is going to make you believe at one point this thought. It is going to make you believe that. But this, like, if you can add and repetition. What is going on with my phone? Because I'm filming with my phone. Sorry, guys. I'm going. Stop it. Okay, let's go. You have the thought, and you repeat it a lot of times. What if you can repeat it with quality? You can imagine a scene. If it's a video, it's better than if it's just an image, because a video has sound and image. What if you can actually see yourself in 4 dimension, just like in reality? You can feel yourself just like in reality and visualize. That's where visualize comes from. Visualizing yourself do an action successfully. You can visualize, and so the thoughts, the power of the thought, the strength of the thought increases as many times as you put this video in your head on repeat in your mind, and you repeat it. The belief strengthens. When the belief strengthens, guess what? You're going to take an action accordingly with this belief, or you're going to be able now to take an action with this belief, and you're going to take an action successfully, or more successfully at least, than if you thought that I'm thinking, I'm not good with meeting people. How are you going to act when meeting a new person? You're not confident. You're not going to be confident. You're not going to be doing your best to actually come off as you're actually good with meeting people. But if you think and you believe now at a certain level that you're pretty good with meeting new people, it's okay. You do and go meet this new person. You take action, and guess what? You have a feedback, and this feedback can be positive. What if it is negative? So let's say it's positive, first of all. It's positive, and guess what? It reinforces this first thought. And now you have a real proof. It's easier to imagine. It's easier to visualize this thought and repeat it. You repeat it again, and guess what? It reinforces again the cycle, because you take action, you reinforce it, and it creates a great feedback loop. And when you do this, the belief gets so strong that you're like very, very good with this. You have no more problem with meeting new people. That's what you got to do. Let's say the action doesn't come up as successful, right? You fail. Oh, you took the action. You were better off already because you took the action better than if you thought the negative thought. But this time, the circumstances was not that great, right? It maybe went totally off. Let's say it went totally off. The worst case scenario happened. It was awkward and you messed it up. Guess what? You can have either a negative reinforcement, if you let it like this and you don't control it because you're not aware of this concept, you're not aware of this tool, you let it flow like this and you don't do nothing about it. But you can do something about it now because you have this thought. You have this thought, you have this concept in your mind. You're aware of this. And so you tweak the feedback and you reinterpret, because you can do this. You can reinterpret as you wish the situation. Oh, instead of having a new thought because of this, because you can, the feedback is going to make you think, oh, this is not true. I'm not really good at meeting people. And you're going to have this thought. And so it's going to cancel the thought that you first had that was positive, right? Yeah, the positive thought, you took action, negative feedback, because a bad situation happened. And so you have a negative thought now. But you can prevent this thought from happening. You can prevent this thought from repeating itself, especially because if it repeats itself, you're in danger. You can go into this vicious cycle. But you can prevent it right there, right before it becomes a new thought in your mind. You're aware of it, you erase. I have this mental image. I imagine my thought as a bubble, a word in the bubble. And this bubble, like, I just make it, I swipe it, I just swipe it away. I make it go away, I eliminate it, I pop it, boom, it falls. And so I have I don't have this thought anymore, right? And so right now I have the possibility to inject a new thought, a positive one. And so you reinterpret what happened as a positive thing. And you encourage yourself. You reinforce the action. You put a positive connotation with the action that you took. All right, let's see the positive. What happens? I actually took this. And you know what? I'm not dead. It's not as worse as I thought it was. You know what? I'm pretty good. I'm pretty decent at meeting new people. And you say this. Say this intentionally. I'm pretty good with meeting new people. Instead of, oh, I knew it. I'm not good at meeting new people. Sorry, guys. Man, I have to go. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. I'm going to be a little bit faster than I thought. Maybe this is going to be part 1, and I'm going to do part 2 of this mindset training. It's going to be very useful as well, because I'm going to tell you about the commitment that you need to make after that. So right now you have the feedback loop. Please take notes on it. It's very, very useful. Very, very, it's going to shape all your life, and I'm going to tell you how in the next podcast. If you think, so right now we got at the end to, okay, you have a negative feedback, let's say because you took action on a positive thought, negative feedback, you erase this negative thought and put a good positive thought instead of it. And you re-inject it. And then you repeat it. You repeat this positive thought. And then next time you're going to like stick to it and take action again on it. And this time, because you already did it, you're going to have a positive reinforcement. And this is going to create a positive loop. And this way, you can do anything that you want. You can do, like, put in your mind anything that you want. I want to be good at sales. I'm good at sales. I'm a natural seller. And you put this in your mind. You repeat it. You imagine yourself, you visualize yourself doing this action successfully. This is crucial. And you have some kind of emotion with it. You emotionalize your goals. Boom. Next time you take action because you're not scared of this, because you believe you're good, because you have some kind of belief. Maybe you don't have the stronger belief possible, but you have some kind of belief that you can do this. So you take action, and maybe you have a positive reinforcement. If you don't, you make it positive. You make it a positive feedback, and you inject again a positive thought. And this way you can very much control your mind. When you get control in your mind, you become dangerous. And you're almost unstoppable. I hope you really found this valuable. If you did, please share the show. I don't do this to make money. I do this to share the journey and hope to help you as much as possible. I've discovered this. It's insanely great. Subscribe to get to the next podcast, part 2, where I'm going to explain to you how to use this even better to shift your identity to become like successfully, like almost on autopilot, almost like you're going to attract new things. This is what people talk about. I don't like, it's not going to be attracting to you without you doing anything, but it's going to make you take actions that you never thought you would be possible for you before. It's happening in my life right now. I hope you subscribe if you like this podcast, and I'll see you in the other podcast. Take care.